Welcome to the Queen City Music Podcast, the podcast devoted to the local music scene in Charlotte, North Carolina. Now, here's your host, Matthew Ablin.
Hello, and welcome to episode 88 of the Queen City Music Podcast. This episode of the QCMP is sponsored by Midwood Guitar Studio, Charlotte, North Carolina's own boutique guitar shop located in Plaza Midwood. Midwood Guitar Studio not only has the finest selection in boutique guitars, but familiar names like Fender, Martin, Taylor, Two-Rock, and many others. Whether it's a guitar, bass, amp, effects pedal, or a much-needed accessory, the knowledgeable and friendly staff at Midwood Guitar Studio will help guide you in the right direction for your next purchase. And Midwood Guitar Studio also has a luthier on staff for all your repair needs. Visit their website at midwoodguitarstudio.com or stop in to see their unique shop at 1517 Central Avenue, Charlotte, North Carolina. By the way, if you have a business and would like to become a sponsor of the podcast, like our friends at Midwood Guitar Studio, drop me a line at qcmusicpodcast@gmail.com and I'll discuss all the information with you. Also, if you enjoy the podcast and want to find out more about me, stop by MatthewAblin.com. There you'll find links to my events calendar, performance groups, the latest podcast episodes, and a host of other information. This month on episode 88 of the QCMP, I'm speaking with rap artist Big Greg, also known as PLK, the Punchline Kid. Big Greg can best be described as genreless and has been cited as one of the most diverse artists in the South. Not to mention, he's received accolades from Charlotte Music Awards, Carolina Music Video Awards, and Indie Grind Music Awards, just to name a few. Big Greg, welcome to the Queen City Music Podcast.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
All right, man. So let's jump into it. Are you originally from the Charlotte area?
No, I'm from Rough Raleigh. I moved here maybe 16 years ago after staying with a friend downtown for a little bit downtown Charlotte. And for a summer, my friend from college had some money. His family had money. So I was able to experience Charlotte in a different way. And I was like, wow, this is way more popping than Raleigh.
Yeah.
Where we're staying at, we could see like the Panther Stadium and all that. And
cool.
I was just like blown away. And it made me want to move here. So
what was the Raleigh scene like for you?
For me personally, it was not that exciting. Like, it was a lot of clubs that we could go to, and that's what we went to for college. But as far as music and you know, I was doing hip hop in college. That's when I started. The scene wasn't that good in Raleigh, like downtown Raleigh, compared to what I was looking at downtown Charlotte. Right. Just homeless people walking around. And my grandma used to go out, used to feed those homeless people in Raleigh. I was like, there's nothing to do down here. And it's a lot different now, but back then there was not a lot to do for me, you know, my experience for music.
And even in Charlotte, I mean, since I got here in 2006, so I've been here about 19 years, and man, Charlotte's just exploded too. Absolutely.
Some of the pictures I was taking back then, I looked at them recently, and you could see them building the Duke building. Like, even back then, it wasn't that big here, but yeah, it's grown a lot.
And the music scene's grown too a lot.
Yeah, I haven't seen the growth just since I've been here. Is the growth I've only experienced, and it's still, it's growing a lot.
I mean, but there's a lot more. Well, for me, there's a lot more bars and restaurants, and then there's of course performance areas, festivals coming.
Yeah,
like, there's always something going on.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Actually, I told you earlier when we were talking, I step outside the box with my career.
Yeah.
Actually, not applied, but what is it called? Audition.
Yeah.
Audition for the Pride Festival.
Cool,
which is
man.
way out of my, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
My realm, but
that's okay.
But, well, yeah, we talked about it. My team, we were like, you know, we're just, you know, professionals, so we can perform anywhere. Are
you going to be playing?
No, I didn't make it. I went to the tryouts, and it was they I could tell they wanted something different, you know.
Gotcha.
But they still, you know, they could still contact me, but I could tell like it was a little different scene than what I'm used to.
Interesting.
It was very interesting.
Maybe next year.
Right. We'll see.
How about like Confluence and stuff? Did you check into that?
No, I haven't heard of that.
Oh man, all right. I'll tell you about it afterwards.
Absolutely.
We'll talk about it. I haven't done it, but I have quite a few friends were people that I know in the scene who have gotten gigs doing Confluence around town.
Okay. I would love to hear about it.
So let's jump back, man. What was your music background growing up? I mean, I know you do rap, but did you like sing in school? Did you do anything that, got you into music?
I started off in the church, if you can believe that.
I can.
A lot of musicians start off in the church. But I definitely started off in the church. My parents, we used to go to a church, and there was a guy on the drums, and I used to love watching. I just sit there and watch him the whole time. And then shortly after that, my parents started their own church.
Okay.
And they just bought a drum set, keyboard, bass guitar, and lead guitar.
Sweet.
And I just jumped on the drums. Well, my brother jumped on before me, but I jumped on right after him. Then he jumped on the lead guitar. My dad jumped on the bass. My mom jumped on the keyboard. And we did.
Family,
we
man. That's great.
We did very well. Only people that stuck it out was my mom and me. So,
nice.
But I played every Sunday for church. We didn't really have rehearsals back then.
Right.
That's just when somebody sing and you play. And that's when I fell in love with music, and it was easy to me to play the drums. And I always think back and make a joke about it because I still play now. I play for a couple churches here in Charlotte. And, they pay me, and I was like, I called my mom, I'm like, hey, I played with you for a lot of years.
You owe me.
Yeah, Ma, they pay me like $300 to play on Sunday, Yeah, I think you owe me a couple dollars. She whipped me back in shape.
It was some back pay.
It would be astronomical. It would be crazy. But yeah, I started in the church for sure.
You get that classic mom or dad response. Well, I put a roof on your head.
There
I
you
put
go.
food on the table. That's your payment.
I'm familiar. Now that I got kids, I'm familiar with that response. I plan on using it.
Oh my goodness.
Definitely started off in the church, and then, my cousin, that I grew up with, his mom and dad passed away, so he moved in with us.
Okay.
And he jumped on the hip hop scene, and he's like the first person. So when I was in the church, any other music was devil music.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That was bad to me. Like, it wasn't something that I was able to listen to.
Yeah.
And if I did hear it, it was from somebody outside, and I would just like put my fingers in my ears. Like, I was like, I don't want to hear this,
man.
So it's kind of crazy the dynamic, or the dichotomy that I have, going from gospel music to being a rapper now, when rapping was bad music. It was something I couldn't listen. The devil's music is what it was.
Man, I keep always mentioning my friend Keith that I used to work with, and he is I think he's still a music director. I haven't talked to him in a while. The music director at one of the churches here in town, man. And he would tell me all the time how good some of these players are coming into the churches and play where he would be at. It's like, man, these guys just tear it up. Like, you got to know your stuff.
Right.
You can't just go in, at least some of the churches, I'm not saying every church has this super high level, but like, he's at a bigger church in Charlotte, and he's like, man, the musicians are just killer.
Yeah, I learned that way too when I started playing in church, because I started with my parents. You could do whatever you wanted, but when I got there, it was like, click tracks and all these things I never had to work with. I'm pretty good at them now. But yeah, I had the same experience. Like, you can't mess around. Like, the first one I went to, they just heard me play before like a bar or something, and they asked me to play. And then when I got there, I was just chilling with it, but it was really strict, and it didn't work out well, and I didn't end up going back. I'm sure that welcomed me back, but yeah, and then I learned from that, and I was like, man, you gotta, practice, the exact song that they hear, because they want to kind of hear it played back the way they heard it, so.
And when they're paying you.
Exactly. Yeah. You want them to invite you back.
we don't want your way. We want our way.
True story. That makes sense. Or my mom on the other, let me stop. I love you, Mom.
That's hysterical.
That's funny.
So, man, well, all right. So you're doing church music and playing drums and stuff. When did you get into rap? Was it a moment, like, because you said, like, anything outside was like the devil's music, couldn't listen to it. What was that moment where you like heard rap and you were like, that's it?
In college, it took a long time to mature, but in college, in college is when it all hit me. And, I learned about how deep music, not just rap, but for me and my experiences, how deep rap music could be. It was not just music. It could be therapy. It could be therapy, and it was, and it still is therapy for me. So, in college, I think I like had a girl break my heart or something like that. And she invited me to a party, And when I went, she was like kissing a guy in the back, and I was like, dang girl, like this is crazy. So all my music is clean music, no cursing. The only song I ever cursed in was that one. And that's like my first song that I like recorded with the guys. Yeah. It's the only song I have that has a curse word in it, just because it was like based on emotion, based on my heart being broken. I feel right now.
Just letting you know.
And that's what happened. So I fell in, right before that, we were in the dorm room and we were doing like a freestyle battle. Okay. And it was only like punchlines. It wasn't like long drawn out freestyle. Right. But we were doing punchlines, and I remember these two guys they ganged up on me and they were picking on me in the punchline battle thing. Yeah. And so then I said something. One of them was wearing like a yellow shirt and one was wearing a red. And I was like, I can't believe y'all got me, rapping against ketchup and mustard. I'll tell you, the whole room, everybody ran out. It was the end of the battle. It was done. And after that, a couple of guys that were there were like, man, you should actually like record, you know? And I was like, let's do it. And that girl broke my heart. And then I called those guys and I was like, let's record something. And then now we're here. You know, that's where it started, like 2006, I believe.
So when did you really, I mean, you started recording in college, but when did you start like kind of maybe taking it a little more seriously?
I took it more seriously when I moved here. I made this mixtape called Last Chance. Okay. And it was on CD. I don't even know if I can even find it anymore. But I made a mixtape called Last Chance, and that was literally, I put it out just to say, you know, hopefully somebody will hear my abilities and pick it up, and I could go somewhere with this. And I was like, if not, then I'll just do it as a hobby. But this mixtape will be my last chance. And that's when Manifest Music, a friend of mine introduced me to Manifest Music, is who I'm signed with right now. Okay. And they were like, yeah, let's take this to the next level. And that's when we started putting music out, like, sounds a little, but putting music out on like, streaming platforms and stuff like that, where I was just put it on YouTube at the most, you know. Right. And recording my videos on my phone and stuff like that. Cool. So,
hey, you gotta do grassroots, man.
I'm telling you. And that's what kind of helped me get that backing from Manifest Music when they saw my drive and that what I could do with the little I had, and if we had a bigger platform. So, and then that's when it started getting serious and trying to make money. Kind of started looking at the business aspect of it instead of just the fun going out, you know, making music and performing and whatever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think you got to have, if you want to do music, you got to kind of look at the business aspect and how am I making money off of this? You can't just be like, oh, I'm just doing this for fun, man. I don't want to do anything else.
I'm telling you, it sucks though, but it is a part, like you said, you got to do it. I remember making music, back in college days, and I have an exam in the morning and I'm making a song over the night. I don't go to sleep the whole night. I'm like, this is stupid. And I just walk in, fail the exam, you know, so, I definitely had passion for that music, in college and definitely wanted to take it to the next level. And when I got here in Charlotte, that's what I did.
So when you're getting here in Charlotte and you start working with Manifest, are they hooking you up with people who are like doing beats? Or are you playing with different groups? Are you going to showcases? How does that start to work as you get into the Charlotte scene?
I remember the first two things I did was went to an event they put together downtown. I don't even think the club still exists. I don't remember. And it was kind of funny. I mean, it was like red carpet. You know, you walk out, take pictures of the backdrops. Yeah. People, you know, people taking pictures. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then they hosted another event where they had the main performer was DMX. Okay. So it was like a car at a racetrack or something like that. Yeah. And so they had me. When I tell the story, I open for DMX, you know, but you know, they have me perform before him, you know. Yeah, of course. So I performed at that little,
You're not
racetrack.
Lying,
I'm not lying. I'm not lying.
That's
what happened. Yes, literally. DMX took forever to get there and I had to go. So I didn't even get to meet him, which is the dumbest thing I probably ever did. But yeah, I opened up for DMX. So that's the first two things they did. And I was like, man, this is looking good. And then we recorded a song, and the song was, You Can Have It All. And that was like, at this studio that I still record at now. It's called Asylum Studio. And the guy there, the producer there, he's amazing. He helps me out a lot more than it looks like. He does really well.
Is that still here? Is that here in Charlotte Asylum?
Yeah, Scott.
Okay.
His name is Scott. He's on Westinghouse, but he was somewhere else back then.
Okay.
He's on Westinghouse now. Highly recommended. But I started working with him and made that song and you know, compared it to one of the questions you had on your email,
yeah.
You know, my home studio. I was like, the quality was obviously 100 times better. Yeah, it was a billion times better. And so then I was like, man, I just needed this kind of quality, and I feel like I could make some great music and do something big, you know. And I still, you know, even though nothing crazy big has happened, you know, I still, and honestly, the idea of big now, like getting a record deal or something like that, that's not necessarily like the right thing to do. Yeah. You know, cause you could sign with the record label and get big and whatnot, but there's a lot of business stuff that we just kind of touched on, like that you're going to have to focus on, like you're going to have to, you know, you get an advance, but you're still responsible for all this other traveling and whatever the case may be. You're responsible for the albums and all this, and you know, you don't get a cut of all, you know, all that stuff you bring in.
Well, what's that? The proverbial cat's out of the bag with everything now.
Oh,
you
yes.
Can't. I mean, everybody. If you're in the music business and you don't know the way it works at this point, just before you even sign with a label, if you can even get a label deal these days, because I don't think that's just handed out anymore.
Right, they're not taking chances anymore. No,
you got to have your social media together. You've got to show that you have a following, that you're able to book tours, that you can do stuff and bring people in. They're not just going to be like, oh, we'll take a chance on you.
Not anymore.
But even the labels, I mean, all you've got to do is watch, what is the one, my favorite girls, TLC. You watch those girls, you watch their documentary and how they went on tour, sold millions of albums, and they came off of the tour and were broke and still owed the record label money because of the advances and the record label putting out for promotion and flying them and doing all this stuff. I mean, man,
that ain't, you know, that's what everybody thinks is success when it comes to music. But, you know, when you're here, you realize that's not absolutely, you know, that's not success for most people.
Yeah. I even actually saw a video the other day and somebody was talking about it and they were like, yeah, well, we got this record contract and the label gave us an advance. And then the manager was like, oh, let's go out to lunch and do this. And we were eating all these nice fancy restaurants. He's like, and I didn't realize it was all coming out of the budget, the advance that they gave us. So we're paying for all this stuff.
That doesn't make sense.
In advance.
Yeah. That does not make sense, but it is what it is.
Yeah. But hopefully you got to be, if you get into music these days, I think you should be a little bit savvy about everything. You should start to know what you're getting yourself into before you even kind of sign anything on a dotted line.
Absolutely. And it's there to look up. You know, you can look stuff up a little bit easier now. Watch a video if you don't like to read, you know, and you can learn a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. And well, there's plenty of stories. I mean, even it's adjacent, you go to sports. All you got to watch is what the 30-30, the ESPNs, and see what happens to all the professional athletes. You're like,
go broke.
Don't make this mistake. You know, there's plenty of stories out there. Just watch this.
True story. True story.
All right. So you were talking about home studio. Do you have a home studio?
I have like no, I have like maybe that box you have, like a smaller one and a decent mic. So, and that comes in for my therapy, the therapy part of it. Like making these songs on the album, that's a little bit therapeutic, but it's business, you know.
Okay.
But if something strikes me, like something that was crazy, when Kobe passed away, that kind of, I don't know why that bothered me so badly, but it did. And I was like, dang. And I just went to music and you like make a song. It sounds terrible. You know, just like the quality, but
doesn't matter.
But hey, it helped me out. I put it out, you know, on my social media and people vibed with it and they felt the same, like some of the people that felt the same way, you know, they could get some relief from that as well. But I just have that at home in case something, like my cousin passed away recently, my uncle, when they pass it, like boom, I go there and make a song and I can listen to it over and over again. And
music is therapeutic.
Telling you, brother, if you didn't know, it really is. And if you have the ability to make it, and you know, man, it is very helpful for me.
It gets you through a lot of rough times. I mean, there's plenty of times I'll just pick up my guitar, man, and I'm feeling a certain way, and 3 hours have passed, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you know what? I just sat down, and 3 hours are gone. I was just playing guitar.
I wish I could do that. You know? I see all the instruments there. I'm like, dang, he could do all this. No,
it's just fun.
I'm just a drummer. That's it. Man.
That's okay. That's, man, go play. You know, go sit in an open mic or something.
True story. I've done that.
Heck out.
Have you ever heard of the ones where you just go sign up like drummer and then they go down the list and just random people?
Yeah.
Unbelievable vibe, man. Yeah. That is unbelievable vibe.
Go to Smokey Joe's. I think it's on Tuesday night.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Smokey Joe's. And then, I mean, there's a list everywhere. Like I know one of my friends, Shannon Lee, does one. And a few other people do them all over town.
I've done one. I've done one just to prove my roommate. He's like, you play drums like that? I was like, I can play anything. He's like, well, he took me over there. I was like, I just put my name on the list. He's like, you sure? I was like, I'm not worried.
Oh, man.
So we vibed out, man. It was pretty good.
Tell me we're showing up to this one restaurant one night with an open mic and be like, all right, Greg, we're doing this, dude.
I'm ready, brother. I'm going to surprise you.
All right. So, all right. So you do starting all rap, and how do you get into the lyric writing?
Oh.
Like, I know you started in college, but was there a frame of mind that you have to get yourself in when you start writing something?
That's smart.
You started about writing.
No, I know some people do. Some people use drugs and alcohol, you know, to get where they need to go. I remember a girl in college asking me the same type question, and she was just a little bit more mesmerized by it, because you're a musician, so you can kind of figure it out. But she's nothing, it has nothing to do with music, so she's like coming from that aspect, like, hey, how do you think it? And I remember specifically the thought that came to my head, I write whatever I want. I get to write about whatever I want to write about. And I just put it in a fashion where it fits well with the music, but I write about whatever I want, and it could be something completely random, depending on, like you said, how I feel that at the moment, or it can be something specifically about something I went through.
Yeah.
So, my music, when I write, I start off with the hook, and that kind of sets the bar or the frame for the rest of the song. And I start off with the hook, and I listen to it over and over again in the beat and figure out what fits and whatever, like I said, whatever I'm thinking about at the time. And then the verses I always try to make sure I put one punchline in there. And that's why, you know, that goes back to my little nickname in college.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. The PLK.
Yeah, Punchline Kid, and I got older and I started with Punchline King because I didn't want to be the kid anymore. And,
I grew up.
I'm grown, 24. But yeah, and it started from the ketchup and mustard. That was a punchline. Yeah. So that's why they call me the Punchline Kid and then King. And so I still, even to this day, try to put a punchline in pretty much all of my songs, at least one. Whereas like Lil Wayne, his whole song is punchlines. I don't know why that even works out. I'm scared to run out of material. So I try to put a punchline in there, and then, you know, the rest is, I don't know if anybody else can relate to that, but whatever I want.
Right.
Whatever I want to talk about.
Well, when you're writing, okay, so let's say if I'm writing a song, and I know everybody works differently. So do you have a sketchbook of lyrics that you've written, or partial lyrics, and then maybe you finish you've got something here, but you never finish it, and then you go back and you're like, oh, maybe these two parts will fit together. Do you piecemeal stuff, or do you just try to start from the top and go all the way through and that's it?
I start from the hook or the top, and then all the way through. I never piece anything and never bring anything back. The most piecing I've ever done was a song called That's Okay on the G4 album. I did a whole song, and my manager didn't like it, and my DJ, he didn't really like it too much. And I was like, y'all gotta step out of that bubble. They're old school. And I'm like, you know, nobody sounds like whatever y'all think is good right now. Yeah. Like, you gotta try something different. And it was very different. It was like almost kind of like, mumbling the hook, or, you know, it was very different, but I know, you know, where the music is going these days, and they don't really want to hear, you know, LL Cool J, but that's what my manager and DJ like. And then, so I was like, okay, my manager really pays for most of everything. So I was like, yeah, all right, well, I'll just redo it, and I redid that song, and it was kind of weird. It's kind of the first time to ever piece stuff together, like you mentioned, but I ended up loving it. It's one of my favorite songs to perform. My absolute favorite one that I'm sure we'll bring up is Rockstar. That's my favorite song to perform, but That's Okay is close after that. Yeah. And that one came from being pieced together because I wanted to trash it. I loved it. Then they didn't love it, so I was going to trash it. And then I was like, let me just.
Rockstar, you mean, was pieced together?
No. That's Okay.
Okay.
It's called That's Okay. All right. Then we pieced that one. And I love performing that song. Rockstar, though, that's my favorite. I don't want to step on that one. That's my favorite song to perform. But That's Okay is a close second. And it was pieced together, but.
All right. So since you brought it up, can we take a listen to Rockstar?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Let's take a listen to Rockstar. This is off the G4 album?
G4 album. Yes, sir.
Let's take a listen to Rockstar off the G4 album by Big Greg.
Let's go. Yeah. It's Big G, man, but you already know what it is, though, for real. Yeah. Big G.
Ron G.
Look, I be killing this beat like a rock star. I be rocking this stage like a rock star. Man, this song got me feeling like a rock star. Man, I'm on, got me feeling like a rock star. I'ma get it, that's for sure. When I hit it, let me know. I got money, here we go. I'ma get it like a rock star. Rock star, baby, and I'm popping. Ain't tripping on the stage, money falling out my pocket. Yeah, I got it. If you want it, you gon' have to come with it. Hey, bro, you always capping, you gon' definitely need a fit. And don't forget it, I got people trying to throw me in a bag. They don't know why they mad. Hey, yeah, they kinda sad. Just a tad feeling bad, but can't throw it in the bag. Cause you gon' need a truck for all this money that I had like a rock star. I be killing this beat like a rock star. I be rocking this stage like a rock star. Man, this song got me feeling like a rock star. Man, I'm on, got me feeling like a rock star. I'ma get it, that's for sure. When I hit it, let me know. I got money, here we go. I'ma get it like a rock star. Rock star, baby, I don't look.
Awesome track, right?
Let's go.
So fill me in about this. When did G4 come out? That was 2021?
2021, yes, sir.
All right. So obviously in the last 4 years, things have been changing, but I think they've been going a certain way. Why did you release a full-length album? Did you have a lot of material? What was the situation with time? Because, today people are releasing singles and EPs, and even 4 years ago, to release a full album was a lot.
Right. I agree too. And I still do that. I like to release singles. And I would love to release an EP because, like you said earlier, you get more bang for your buck at this time. But at that time I had a lot of stuff sitting on the back burner that hadn't been released yet.
Gotcha.
So, and it was, stuff from years ago, before 2021. But luckily it still sounded very good. Like I said, the quality and everything was, very good. So we were able to put it together, and we put in a couple new songs like That's Okay. Mm-hmm. That was a new one. So we threw in some brand new ones in there just to, put the icing on the cake. But, it created a whole album. It was just a little bit too long for an EP.
Okay.
So we brought, and we had a single from a long time ago. I don't even remember when we released that single, but it was still on there. We put that on the album as well, and it did very well too. So we had that old single, then we had a new single called Hands Free. Mm-hmm. And then we had some old music, not old to us, older music that we put on that album. It just lined up perfect for us to release a whole album and not just a short EP.
Was that recorded at Asylum where you were talking about before?
Yeah. All my music on that's streaming is from Asylum. Yeah.
Okay. So when you were doing Rockstar, how did that work out? Did you have somebody who was doing all the beats for you? Did you have an idea for the beats?
So there's a guy that we work with named Ron G. So after Asylum, we record at Asylum, like the raw material. Then we send it to Ron G, and he mixes it down, masters it.
Gotcha.
And then, but on the side, he makes beats. And so we told him my idea. My manager always has these ideas. Shout out to Cody Logan. Manifest Music, but he has these ideas. So, and I think I had the skill level to pull off these ideas. The newest one right now is we're going to try to remix a old school rap song. So, and it's not, and you think old school is not our old school, is, yeah, it's their old school, like the new school old school. Yeah. So it's something that they would think, that's crazy how we got to operate. But so that's the most recent idea. But yeah, he had an idea to do like a rock song, but it's hip hop, but it's rock. And I told him, I was like, man, I think I can do whatever. Yeah. So, and like I said, he's paying for it. So let's roll, you know, and I recorded it and it sounds beautiful. And, I mentioned earlier it's my favorite song to perform. I didn't think it would be. I didn't think it would be anything favorite because it's just something outside of what I normally do. Sure. But, the crowd interaction, the hook is just so simple. It's something that's on the rock star, and that's all that they need to hear. And I just make sure that the fans and the crowd, they yell rock star. Sweet. And then I run out there and I put the mic up and they just yell it in the microphone, rock star, so it's just my funnest song.
Getting the energy back from the crowd.
I'm telling you, people love it.
That makes it all worth it.
I'm telling you, even if if the performance is not going that well, when I hear rock star come on, let's go. Sometimes the sound and everything is off a little bit, Yeah. But I get that rock star on there, it doesn't matter. I mean, we talked about it a little bit before we started recording, but that's something I don't get with new music, or with the new rap at least, is, as I said earlier, being an 80s kid, I felt like the artists were taking a little bit more chances, like Quest, LL Cool J. I mentioned earlier, LL playing with an acoustic group, doing Mama Said You Knock You Out. I don't see groups doing that. I almost feel like everything is put in a box today and you can only do this. Right. Know? I wish I knew why. I know in the hip hop culture, I don't know if I'm speaking, I don't know, but like a lot of times they go to the studio, they're, doing whatever they need to do to get in the mood to do, and everybody doesn't, hang out with everybody who does everything, you smoke weed and all this type of stuff, so I don't know if it's just different environments or what, but I know that when I go out and perform at these places, I network with whoever, rock band or whatever. And then sometimes we end up crossing paths and we make music. I think that is a musician. I'm a musician. A lot of times I don't like saying I'm a rapper. Like, I'm a musician. I make music, so I can get with whoever and make music. Yeah. So I don't know why nowadays, people don't do that anymore.
I tend to think, and this is my opinion, I don't care if it's rock or rap or even country, the artists don't have the depth of listening to other musics that I think people used to. Right. I think it might have started kind of in the 80s, where people took a lot of chances because there was a whole bunch of stuff beforehand that they probably listened to. Mm-hmm. And I think today they only go back 10 years or 15 years. They're not listening to stuff that happened in the 60s and into the 50s to see what was going on, you know? That's just me. I just think their depth of music listening and influence does not go back as far as it probably would have.
That's genius. I'm part of that only because, like I said, I was only allowed to listen to gospel music when I was young. I wasn't allowed to listen to anything else. But the people that surround me will introduce me and remind me of music from like back then. Like, I did a remix. I need to find that song. It sounded good. Of a Bob Dylan.
Oh, really? Which
one? I cannot remember. But it was so funny, and I told my manager, he had an older school guy that used to fly us out to LA all the time, tell us like, hey, let's try this out. And I did it, and it ended up sounding really, really good. We sent it to him, and he loved it. I don't know what his plan was to try to get it in music.
Oh, now you're gonna have to text me and tell me.
I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna figure it out.
And you recorded it? Is it on
I recorded it, and I took it wasn't. It didn't make anything.
Oh,
we were trying
to hear it.
Like I told you, the business aspect. We've done like things where we try to put it in movies and stuff like that. Right. So I've tried that, and that's kind of was part of that project. But I can't remember the name of it. And I remember sitting down and doing like recording and working on it for hours. But yeah, nobody, even, none of my friends would know who Bob Dylan was or anything like that.
Oh, they should.
Yeah, but they don't. I mean, the only reason like I said, I didn't know because I wasn't exposed to anything.
I love watching those YouTube videos of people who the first time they're hearing a band or a group or an art, whatever artist, and their mind is blown. They're like, "Are you kidding me? Why have I never heard this?"
Or they think, have you like people hear their favorite song, but they learn that it was sampled from it. Oh, that's what I thought you were gonna say.
No, it's like some guys never heard of like Iron Maiden, and all of a sudden they're listening to Iron Maiden. They're like, "Oh my God," or they're hearing whatever some country tune, and they're like, "What the? How did I never hear this?"
True story.
I just saw one today, and they were just like doing the lyrics to a song, and it's like the first time you really listen to the lyrics, and you're like, the guy's face is like, what the heck?
I've seen a video like that recently. So they were like, I was vibing out to this when I was younger.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's funny.
Oh my gosh. So just talking to you, it seems like you've got a tight circle of folks that you work with. Mm-hmm. So is it always the same people that you're working with when you're recording, and putting stuff out?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I work with the same people. I mean, I'll have features that come in, to feature on a song. Yeah. But, always, Scott and Ron G and my management team. Yeah.
Do you think that helps you keep a consistent sound and keeping people around you that understand the way you like to work and promote Big Greg in the certain way?
Yeah, I think that really helps with not only just the business, but motivation, all that stuff. But definitely the business part of it, they help keep that going because I can focus on the music. And I know that like my manager, my DJ, his name's Rucker. DJ Easy Ruck is his name. And, he came from a music background. So, I'll throw some ideas of like what type of song to make off of him. Yeah. And he'll just give me an idea. He'll listen to him like, hey, what about this? And I'm like, oh, okay, that's a good idea. So musically I get to focus on that mostly. I can reach out to them if I need to, but I focus on that and then they help with all the other stuff that comes along with this. So
when you're getting into songwriting, you're working with your team of folks. How does it work? Are you writing the lyrics first and then somebody sends you a beat and you try to fit the lyrics over it? Or do they send you beats and say, hey, Greg, we think this is going to be good. Try to put something to this.
I maybe one time in my career, like wrote lyrics and then try to put it to the beat. I think I used to describe it as I want my music to hug the beat. Okay. So I love to hear the beat first and then I'll listen to it over and over again and I'll write the song based on that. Because if it does like a little dip or a little drop or the key changes, I want to hit something at the same time. Right. And I want it to even the syllables of the words. I want them to go to the song if I can do it. Yeah. So I don't feel like I can do that if I'm writing it first and then trying to fit it in where I can on a song. In fact, the first song on my album is called G4. The young lady, Chelsea Locklear, she's like a really good singer. She was in Charlotte. I think she moved to like South Carolina recently. Yeah. Really good singer. She sings in the churches. But she did that little guitar strum for me and I got her to just record a little bit of it and I took it home and I let them put the whole thing together. But I just took that little bit and kind of wrote to that. Well, when I went back to the studio, they had like cut it up a little bit differently than when I wrote. And I was having so much trouble. And they were telling me like, hey, we can't hear what you think you heard or whatever. Like we hear something good. It sounds good. I'm like, well, this is not what I wrote, So I don't think I would even do well at writing before and putting to the beat later. Or, I just hear what I hear and I want it to fit a certain way. When that guitar went down, my voice went down, but it didn't fit when I did it, the way that they cut it. And, but it ended up sounding beautiful, or beautifully. But yeah, I don't think I could do it like right and then get the beat.
I ask because I know a lot of people work differently. I just mixed a couple recordings for my friend's band, The Sense, in New York, and he got together with his songwriter, and the guy has, a book of all the lyrics. And my friend's like, okay, let's start going through some stuff. And I'm like, man, if I write my own stuff, I'm working like you. I'm putting the guitar stuff down, and then I'm hearing the melody on top of it. I don't think I could sit there and write it. Occasionally I'll hear a phrase or something, and I'll write down the phrase. Okay. And be like, all right, let me keep that, I'll keep that in my back pocket, because that sounds like it might be a good line or a good title for a song. Yeah. But rarely am I going to, write the whole song beforehand. I can't do it.
Right. I've done that too with the phrase. I've done that. And I sometimes find somewhere to fit it, and I'm like, oh. And that's just the line though. Yeah. Compared to a whole song.
Ketchup and mustard.
I got him. Years later, man, still eating them up, man.
Oh, I think that's great.
That's funny.
So are you that guy who's got your phone's filled with certain lines in the song?
No. I did just not too long ago start writing the songs in the little note. Okay. Because I started seeing rappers on their phones when they're rapping, and I was like, what are they doing? And I used to have it on paper. So old school. Yeah, when I learned, I was like, oh yeah, I'm writing this whole song. Nice. I write it all on my phone. I can scroll it up. Just gotta make sure it's not dead when I'm recording.
Or you gotta make sure you upload it to whatever Google Drive.
Yeah,
so you don't lose it. Like, my phone's gone. I don't know all my lyrics.
I didn't really think about that yet. I'll get on that right away.
Don't get that far, man.
But yeah, no, I write it on my phone. Yeah,
that's awesome. So all right? So you recording. What is your performing? What's the performing life like for you? Where are you performing? How far are you performing? So we talked earlier about being a local, regional, national artist. Mm-hmm. So. And you were talking about just being more of a local established artist.
Yeah, I've been more of a local artist. Charlotte and Raleigh, like those two places. Mm-hmm. I try to jump out there and be with the people, the fans, as much as possible. Yeah. So even if it's not as beneficial, like I'm not going to make a lot of money, I'm still going to try to do it. Yeah. I don't like to pay to perform.
Nobody does.
But, if it's like a nice crowd, I'll do that. I just like to be out there. Especially I don't want anybody passing me, like they're doing more than me, and they can record it on their social media. You paid to do that, but when you post it, it looks like, you just got booked for a show, and, so I like to be out as much as possible. Before COVID, it was looking really good. Like I said, I was performing at colleges and stuff, and I would always, every year we would go to LA to perform. I can't think of the club that we go to. We performed at a club, and then there was, an award show called the Music and Media Awards that we performed, or that we attended. We didn't perform there all the time. Yeah. But they were giving out awards. We won an award one time, from there. So we would travel as much as we could, and just like the band stuff we talked about earlier, traveling, staying where we could eat. I was eating terribly, while we were traveling, but it wasn't like a tour type thing. We kind of called it a tour because we had enough booked that we could call it that. But, we would go to, like I said, LA every year until COVID hit. Then it really slowed down. Yeah. And life hit and it really slowed down, so, but I do consider myself more a local artist here in Charlotte and Raleigh. Those performances can pop up at any time. And I've gotten relationships with like bars and stuff where I can go, talk to them, and they, give me a chance and perform there if I need to. So
if you do a Big Greg show, how long do you normally perform for? Yeah, I mean, you have a full album. Do you get a chance to perform the full album? Do you only come in and do like a showcase with other artists and only do a few songs? How's that work?
I know I do enough where you have to put the songs on the paper on the because I'm like, I don't know what's the next one. As soon as the music hit, we'll start vibing. Yeah, no. Now I put it out on paper on the floor. I know exactly what's coming up next. There you go. But I try to like get maybe like one or two, like I mentioned, Chelsea Locklear, like get somebody to perform with me, one or two other artists, and then, I'll try to perform not the entire album, but like maybe 5 songs off the album, and then a couple of the singles that I dropped before that album, older school. I don't go into the old school songs that like, so I call my album G4. because I've released 3 projects before that. They weren't streamed or anywhere. It was just on the CD, if anybody knows what that is. They were just on CD.
Were you old school selling them out of the back of the car?
Yeah, man. Funny story. Somebody broke in my car one time. They took my shades and I had a stack of my,
they left the CDs.
They left every one of them.
You're like, man,
you could at least
get those out.
You could at least, they like threw them all over the floor. They didn't even take one CD, which is crazy. But yeah, that was a life back then.
That is funny.
But yeah, I released.
Only artists would feel that, man. And like, really, you couldn't even take one of my CDs.
You just broke, and I had a charger too. That's when they were popping the lock, man. So they didn't break the window. I was thankful for that. But they didn't even take one album. They took some, I don't know what, they were a gift. The shades were a gift. So I don't even know how much they were worth, you know. Crazy, man. Whatever. Whoever they were. I'm sure life is terrible for them right now.
We're holding a grudge. You should have taken a CD and listened to it. Promote later. The guy, damn it. You're going to break into his car.
Or throw it in the street, down the street or something. Somebody can pick it up, but don't leave it in my car. A bunch of them too, man. Stacks of them.
I know.
But I try to perform a couple, like maybe one song. I don't get too much into those albums, but the singles before the album, and then a couple songs off the album. Maybe like 10 songs, something like that.
So that makes me ask the question now, since you brought it up. You're gonna, you're releasing stuff. You're actually planning on doing a new recording. Are you going to do any physical copies, these CDs, or are you going to strictly do digital these days? Because I know it's nobody knows what to do anymore.
I've seen people come out with vinyl, you know, lately. I'm not there. I'm still streaming right now. That's what I'm going to do. That's what's been we've had more success with that. So, but no physical. The most physical I'll get is a thumb drive, you know.
Yeah.
So, and I carry that, you know, in case I go out and somebody asks me to perform, I can pull that thumb drive out. Like, let's go. We can do it. But, no, it'll be streaming.
Just streaming.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool, man. So one of the things I wanted to ask you before I got sidetracked because we just been
going
talking about so much
everywhere,
stuff. Yeah. So when you're going in to record a song and you got the beats with you, how much do you, because I know you said the other guys, they'll come in and cut stuff up on you or do things. How much say do you put into it? You know, I know you'll start recording something. You're like, I don't like this part. Can we get rid of that and add something else? Do you do that kind of stuff with it? Or do you leave it up to the producer to kind of figure out how they want the backing track or the beat to go?
No, I do 100. I'm pretty much 110%. You know, anything that they do is like something that, like a relationship we built, and I just like kind of, I don't want to say allow it, but you know, I just like, I respect it. So I'm like, for
collaboration.
I'm cool. I'm cool that, the producer, Scott, he was like, I told him, there's a part in the hook that I wanted to like, harmonize, I guess.
Right.
In the background. I'm not that, I can sing better than most rappers, I'll say that right now. But I'm not that much of a singer. And he's like, I remember him saying, sounds like you're trying to do something you've never done before, like something you don't do. And I'm like, let's just do it. You know, he lets me know if it doesn't sound good or if it sounds good or whatever. And then he let me do it. And he's like, oh, okay, I see what you did. It does sound good. You know, so he does help out with just little here and there. But you know, for the most part, I'm for 110% of the song. It's all me. For my whole team, you know, they let me know what they don't like or whatever. And like, That's Okay was probably the first time I ever took a song and redid it you know, based on what my team said, but I took a chance on that song anyway. Yeah. So I was willing to go back and redo that, but I do everything. And I rarely change a lot on the back end. I try to get it perfect as I can, you know, when I record it and send it off. And, so all they got to do is like turn up the ad lib, turn them down, a little tune in here and there and stuff like that. But I don't ever like, hey, let's move this around. And then, you know, usually when I send it off, it's good to go. Right. It's good to go. It just needs to be touched up a little bit.
Are you, when you're talking about touching up, are you talking about like changing lyrics? But like, I don't like that line. I did this. Let me change that. Let me go back and do this.
No.
Seriously.
No. And you know what? And you might be able to relate, but I'll hear a song and I'll, you know, years later, I'm like, man, I remember, you know, I probably should have said this. But it is what it is. You know, I said this, or it sounds like I said this, but really I said this. You know, there's like, I don't curse or anything in my music.
Yeah.
But there's a song, where in G4 where I say, you know, like the neighbors, I say something about the neighbors, you know, telling the girl, like, you know, your neighbors can hear us, you know, but the neighbors, when it recorded, I don't know what happened, but it sounds like I say the N word if you don't listen close enough, you're like, dang, you just, you know, I thought he didn't curse or anything. And my DJ was the one that brought it up to me. And I was like, no, I said neighbors. I didn't say the N words, you know. So, every now and then I'll get something like that I hear. Right. And I'm like, man, maybe I should have just, you know, all it takes is like, hey, let me re-say that, you know, and I'll click the button, I'll knock it out. But it is what it is. Is that a conscious choice for you to not curse and do derogatory stuff on your recordings? I think it first came from, cause honestly, I didn't even drink. I didn't drink in college. Right. Not a sip. Okay. I didn't have a drink until I was 33 years old. That's a good thing. Yeah. Thank God. Yeah. I hear people that struggle with that, and you know, I think I'm good. But, I think it started off from the church. And then now as an adult, I'm not even exaggerating. I wish I could share it with the world every time I say it, but my 4-year-old's favorite song on this planet is I'm Cool. Every time he sees me, he says, Music Daddy is what he calls it, because it has my picture on it. So when I play it on my phone, it showed he said, music, I want to hear Music Daddy, Music Daddy. Every time I see it, and I eventually have to tell him, no, we're done. He's like, I want to hear 10 more times, like every time, and then I'll play it 10 times. He's like, I want to hear it 5 more times. I'm like, no, Music Daddy, music. So that also plays into why I don't talk about craziness, kids, or curse, and, you know, because, you know, my kids are listening right here with me. So that's good, man. Absolutely. A lot of people don't feel that way. I know. People like, I don't care. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. Right. But I think I'm talented enough. That's what it is. I think I'm talented enough to get around that. I think about, who is it? Will Smith and Eminem. They're beefing. He's like, oh man, I saw that. Yeah, he's like, Will Smith doesn't curse in his rap. He's like, well, F him. And, you know, I thought that was genius. But I don't know. I think I can pull it off a little bit better than Will Smith. Now, when I you know, I came from the church, like I said. Yeah. So some people want you to do like gospel rap, and I considered it. I considered doing it, and I did a little bit of it, like, and I still put a little bit of that in my music. Yeah, a little something, like a couple words. A few words. Because I really did not, when that idea first came up, I did not like when people, the music, the hip hop music that was out then, because it was like, God, he loves you. And I'm like, get out of my face. That sounds trash. I love the message, but the delivery is trash, you know. But nowadays, gospel music is winning right now, man. And it sounds big. They can play it on regular radio. Some people don't even realize, you know, they're listening to gospel music. Have you ever thought about doing a gospel tune? Like having a live gospel band back you up while you rap over? I would love to. Yeah. I never thought about doing that, or nobody's ever presented that to me. I'll take credit for it. Yeah, that's genius. And that would be beautiful. I might even jump on the drum set if it's a live show. Dude, get out of here, man. There you go. That'd be Prince. That'd be crazy. Playing every instrument. Prince is crazy. Yeah. But I would love to do something gospel. I would love to. Yeah. I mean, go back to your roots. I agree. You know, my mom will be so happy. I mean, it's just bringing in your, the depth of your musical upbringing. Absolutely. Into what you do. True story. I mean, whenever I'm playing, I'm not saying I have this like complete, lots of depth, but I mean, I've studied flamenco and jazz and classical and all this stuff. And when I play, when I put out my EP, I tried to just do some different stuff. I have like a finger picking song on there, cause I study classical. I love like old Bob Dylan stuff. So I like, it's acoustic based. But yet there's some electric in there from that it's kind of bluesy. I would love to hear it. Yeah. All different stuff, I would love to have no clue, brother. I'll give you an EP. Don't play with me, brother. I would love to hear it. I would love to hear it. So what you got in the works, man? You got, you're going into the studio to start recording? You talked about doing a new recording. Yeah, I know that the next song is probably going to be like a remix, and I don't even want to say what, but I'll give a little taste. It's like, I think we're going to try to remix like maybe like an older school Busta Rhymes type song, which nobody would ever try to touch and mess with because, you know, all his hits are astronomical. But
right.
I think, like I said, man, I think very highly of my skill set, and I think I'll be able to pull that off.
I think you should redo LL Cool J's Going Back to Cali and make it Going Back to Charlotte.
See, yeah. If I remixed it, it would be nowhere near what the older one would be. You could hear it. You could hear the music, but my part would be something different. Yeah, it would be different. Because otherwise the young people would be like, what is he doing? Messing up something.
Don't you think some of the young people would dig some of that old stuff? Because I know, talking to friends who have younger kids, teenagers and stuff, like kids today, man, they're eclectic. They're not just listening to like brand new stuff. And even when I'm going to gig, I do all classic rock acoustic stuff. Dude, there's 20 somethings in the bar who like know like all the tunes that I'm playing.
Really?
Yeah. And I get surprised by that. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of young kids out there into rap who listen to old school rap, who have traced it back and are not just listening to modern stuff.
I would be surprised, man. I would be surprised. I know my kids, they listen to some old school stuff. And that's only because I couldn't find any new school stuff that was clean enough for them. So they listen to stuff like that I know their friends won't recognize, like Elvis and James Brown, stuff like the good old songs from way back in the day.
Right.
They know those songs because that's on their little playlist on my Apple Music because it's safe, you know. And they love it and they jam out to it. But I don't know. My experience, I remember speaking to a young lady, and I know I said DMX a couple times. But I remember speaking to a younger lady.
And he's not young.
Yeah.
He's
there
an
you
older
go.
artist.
There you go. And I was telling her, because she was going through some troubles, and I was explaining to her, like, you can't trust everybody out here because, DMX back in the day, his friend was the one that introduced him to cocaine. And a little blunt. He thought he was smoking weed, but it ended up being,
crack or something.
Yeah, something in there. And I was like, you can't just go around smoking with everybody. I know it seems seamless, but you know, it could happen to you because this is what happened to DMX. Well, right over her head, she's like, who is DMX? I'm like, that is crazy.
Wow.
She was 16 or something like that.
And he's still a new school artist.
Yeah.
Like he's newer, but I mean, he's 20 years old.
Yeah. So you should know who DMX. I don't know. I felt like she should know because she was, you know, I don't know. She was in the hip hop world, so she knew hip hop music.
Know.
Yeah. I feel like you should know who DMX, and then she didn't know, and I was just like, kind of blew my mind.
I think if you're in music in any sort of way, you should be some kind of
there you go
historian.
Yeah.
You know, if you're in a certain style, at least know the people in that style going back.
Right.
You know?
That kind of paved the way. I don't know.
Yeah.
You could say. Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know.
Like you talk about being clean, and I'm not totally up on all his stuff, but I mean, I remember old school rapper KRS-One.
Oh,
and he was
yeah.
real deep, real philosophical, deep thinker, but his stuff was clean.
Oh, yeah. Big words. Yeah.
So like, just a different kind of style.
Absolutely.
And I bet if they didn't hear DMX, they never heard of him.
Yeah, I know they never heard of that. Yeah, I barely heard of him. So yeah, I've only seen like documentaries that bring him up, but it's not like something I've ever played, you know, on my iPod, which I don't have anymore. Yeah. But,
gotta listen to streaming, man.
That's crazy.
Dude. All old stuff is great. I mean, I don't know. I think there's just something of quality. You know, you bring up like an old school artist like Big Daddy Kane, like the guys who started all, and you're just like, what? The people who are doing this, that's really, you know, and you can really hear the difference between that and today, but it doesn't mean that you can't bring or be influenced by them and bring that kind of thing into what people do today.
The proof is in the pudding because a lot of stuff today is sampled from back in the day. So that's it. You know, that's proof that it was good music back then. It lasted a test of time, and that it would probably still be influential today because it is. I mean, people are sampling old school music, and young people are thinking it's the first time it's been made. But that's like, no, that song has been out.
It's been out a long time. Have you sampled any particular tracks for your recordings?
I don't think so. No, I have not. I have not sampled any. Only reason I think about that is because, like, if I do like a little song in my little studio at home, I'll use some tracks that have been sampled. But for my own projects, I haven't used anything, got anything cleared yet. But we're going to have to do that for this new one.
I don't even know how that works anymore. I mean, do you
I can
guys
tell
do you have to pay?
You put it out, and then if it gets big enough where they have a problem with it, then they'll get up with you, and then y'all work it out, or take a L, or whatever the case may be.
Sting was saying about P. Diddy
Oh,
that he was still paying him for sampling some track he wrote years ago.
Wild.
He's like Roxanne or something like that.
Wild.
He's like, oh yeah, he pays me like $2,000 a week or something like that because that song is.
That is crazy. That is crazy.
Like,
scary.
Damn. You know?
Yeah.
But I mean, that happens if you take a well-known song. That you
taking that risk
and you make a hit out of it. Well, guess what? You got to pay the people who actually wrote the song.
There you go. It makes sense. If you were on the other end, you would want that.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And that's a tough thing today. I navigate like with BMI and all the foundations today, trying to get money. I mean, they come into all the restaurants now and the bars, and they're like, "Okay, you got to pay your share for playing music in here."
Know that.
Yeah, it was a big thing. They did it. They started coming around again recently. It was a big thing a couple of years ago, and some of the restaurants stopped having music. Like they were like, "Yeah, I can't afford the $2,000 or $3,000 a year that they want to have artists come in and perform."
Good and bad, That's good and bad.
And I feel like writing my own stuff. I mean, I feel a certain kind of way too, where I'm like, all right, I should be able to go and play, but hey, if I'm an artist too, I think you should be paying,
right?
So
story.
It kind of. You get a little conflicted, with that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
So.
No, that's the business. That's the business. It's different if somebody's like, if somebody takes your song, puts it in their video and, then if someone is going out pretty much promoting for you, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's a little touchy. But yeah, that is crazy. Like social media now, when people go live, live will shut off if you're playing in somebody's song.
Yeah.
In the background without their permission. It's kind of weird. But at the same time, I want people,
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird. I don't know.
It's a different world today, man. I mean,
they're trying to navigate it and figure it out. You know?
Well, I think people, when they used to do stuff years and years ago, it was paying homage to somebody, hey man, I mentioned your track, or I took a little bit of your track and I put it in my song. And now it's like, man, you didn't pay those artists. Everybody should be paid. Well, I love those guys. I just want to pay a little homage to them. And nope, can't do that.
Different. That's crazy.
It's all in the contract, man. I need my money.
That's crazy. That is true.
So we were talking about, going in for a new recording. Have you started writing for it?
Not at all. It was just an idea. No, not at all. I listened to the actual song, and then I was like, I put together something in my head, and I was like, man, I should write this down. But, and I was like, nah, I don't think it's something good, but I just wanted to make sure I could do it, Right. And I think I can. I know I can. I'll figure it out.
It's just time in.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I hate to sound like that, but I mean, if you're a musician, you gotta just put the time in, sit, focus, and start writing.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And there's like, you can record something all the way through, or you can punch in,
Yeah.
So I usually record all the way through, but for something like this, I might try to punch in and make it more crisp, and because Busta Rhymes, he raps really quickly, so his beats are the same way. I'm sure we can slow it down or whatever, but I'm gonna try to make it authentic.
Dude, I'm sure it sounds awesome. Please let me know when it comes out.
Absolutely.
What's the when you go into the studio and record, are you a studio guy or are you a live performer? Which do you like better, or is it just different for you? It doesn't really matter.
I think it's impressive that that, a lot of people don't realize that it's like two different things.
Oh yeah.
Oh God. And for people who sing really well, like someone has a really nice voice, you can sing like live, and then you can say, "Hey, come with me to the studio," and they just have a hard time sometimes.
Yeah.
And your voice is beautiful, but it's a different world. Like performing and recording are two different things. I think I'm a recording person. Like I can get away with a lot more recording.
Yeah.
And I know, cause I know what I'm able to do and how I was able to get switched up in here or doctor per se in there, opposed to doing it live. I figured out what to do live. And I think I do well at that. But recording, I think I've done a lot more of that. I've done a lot of recording because I started off on my own, mixing everything on my own for those little mixtapes.
Yeah.
And then, and I learned that world. That helped me in the recording when somebody else is mixing it. I know kind of what they can do and what they can't do and, how I want it to sound and, everything like what kind of track, I want it on the same track, punch in, or I'm going to do a different track or whatever, background, ad lib, like I'm familiar with all that stuff.
Yeah. Are you on the,
That's funny.
man, my cat's going to drive me crazy. He's trying to open a door. I'll have to cut that all out. Dude, what are you doing? I was going to say, so when you were recording and you're talking about being in the studio, are you that guy who's over the engineer's shoulder like, no, man, bring up the drums. I want more of this and need some of that? Or you kind of let the engineer, the mixing guy do their thing?
I'll let them do their thing.
Yeah.
I'll speak up every now and then. But I usually let them do that thing. And like I said, Scott is really good at what he does. So he'll hear stuff that I don't even hear. I remember one song I was talking about a plane and he was like doing something and I was like, what are you doing? And he hit play and you can hear the plane he put in the background. I'm like, oh, that's dope, man.
He put it in or
he
it was
put a
already
plane
recorded?
sound. No, he put a plane sound
from
somewhere in the background right when I said something about a plane. So I was like, okay. Yeah. So I trust him. I'm not over their shoulder, not over his shoulder. For the most part, the Ron G, when he mixes it down, I just tell him like kind of how I want the ad libs to sound. That's about it.
Do you like to ever add in like stuff that happens in the studio, like old school recording? Sometimes if you listen to the end of the recording, at the end, there's always something like some chatter or something like that, that gives it, I love that kind of stuff that just gets left in. Do you ever do any of that?
I've done that when I recorded on my own.
Yeah.
Professionally. And, we don't have too much of that going on. I've had one time where, I was in a song because I like to do punchlines and I think sometimes punchlines are funny. Yeah. So I do like a little joke punchline every now and then. And one of them was talking about a girl, like, hey, your man, I'm better than your man pretty much. And, I'm going to steal you from your man. But don't tell him where I live at. And I'm like, so I was saying that. And I was just referencing like maybe like don't tell him because he's gonna try to come hurt me or something. So I put like I racked like a gun in there, like I carry a gun every now and then. Yeah. And so I had my manager producer, I racked the gun. He put that in there. And he's like, I was like, don't tell him where I live. Don't let him. He can hear the gun. It's pretty funny. But yeah, no, I don't. When I recorded personal, like on my home studio, I have like you can hear me, my son, in the background sometimes. When my oldest ones were younger, you could hear them in the background. I leave it in there.
I love that stuff.
I loved it back then.
Old school.
Not anymore. I mean, I guess not professionally, but I bet it would still be good. Yeah.
There's tons of stuff like that. It always reminds me, there's this one Led Zeppelin recording, and I forget what song it is off the top of my head, but I guess they were actually recording outside.
Oh, wow.
And when they were recording, there was an airplane. You mentioned an airplane, but there was an actual airplane going overhead, and you can hear on the recording, hey, Jimmy, we're going to wait because there's a recording going over in the car. No, leave it in. Just start rolling. And you hear it and you're just like, oh man,
that is dope.
That's great.
That is dope.
And stuff that happens at the end where they're laughing or they have chitter chat and they just keep it and cut it.
I love that. I would like to do something like that. I always want, like, I've heard albums where they transition to the next song and there's a little something, I would love to do something like that. I haven't found what it is, but yeah, man, that's a good idea. I might have to steal that from you.
I think it's fun, man.
Absolutely.
It just, I don't know, harkens back to a different point and it makes it, I don't want to say it's not serious, but it makes like man, we're having fun here too.
Absolutely.
You know, it's not just all like serious, everything's perfection. Cause you know, going in the studio today, everything is like, it's got to line up perfectly and we need perfection because this is going to be out in forever.
Right.
You know, and it's like, I don't care if there's a mistake on there.
Right. That's why I think the mumble rap people, I think that's why they did really well. Yeah. Cause I know I'm not that.
You know, I don't know the hell you're saying.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, I have one of them. I don't remember his name. But I played my kids the song. Hey, y'all tell me what he's saying and we'll get Chick-fil-A today. And they have no clue. They're like, nah, I don't know what. I was like, all right. And, you know, I don't think he knows that. But, I go through the same song, man, every time and they don't know what he's talking about. But I do like that, you know, I don't know, that light feeling, the lightness of it, you know, it's not have to be perfect. You know, you're just vibing. It's a vibe. Yeah. It's a vibe. Yeah.
And that's what you're doing when you're in the studio. You've got to create, well, if you don't know, if you're just listening, you know, when you're in the studio, the artist has to create this feeling for themselves while they're recording, because that feeling has to be put into the music.
Absolutely.
So that the listener later on is going to get a feeling from what you did. You know, you can't just go into like a room and be like, all right, I'm just going to rap or I'm just going to play this guitar part and that's it. Like you kind of, there's ambiance that goes on when you're recording so that you can create a certain type of mood in the song.
Absolutely.
You know, what do you do in the studio for yourself when you get in there to start to lay down your tracks?
Well, first of all, you know, people get nervous or whatever. So, I practice. I make sure I know
that's the
lyrics.
First thing you should know.
It literally gets me calm. You know what I mean? Like it puts me in a good mood to perform the song.
Nothing like going to record a song knowing you haven't practiced and you're paying for all the
hours. You're about to tackle another 2 hours. Like, geez, because you didn't practice. It's like, try it again, click, try it again, click, try it again. This is just costing every click. But, no, I don't do much. I just like the way, you know, Scott has the setup at his place. Yeah. The lights are dim.
Yeah. Lava lamps are up.
Lava lamps are in there. And, nice big window. Yeah. The mic is right here. Nice professional mic. The settings, like I can set my ears right here. They're right here. Okay. I can set how loud it is and, how quiet it is or whatever the case may be. But if it's not set up in a good way, I don't think, you know, I'd have to, I probably wouldn't even record. You know, if it wasn't set up, I'd probably just be like, man, this is going to be a waste of time.
Yeah. Well, it's a little inside baseball. I mean, people listen and they don't think of like, oh, you're just going in to record. You don't realize, you know, artists want this kind of, got to have this kind of feel.
Yeah. I wouldn't even do it. It's a waste. Yeah. Unless it was just, like I said, some therapy type thing. Yeah. I could get away with whatever.
Just need to get it out.
I need to get it out. Yeah. But no. If I'm doing a professional something for the album or something, no, it's got to be right.
Yeah, definitely, man. So what, you got the new album. You haven't started too much on anything yet, but you had released a single. What was it? Cool?
I'm Cool.
I'm Cool. Thank you. I'm cool. Sorry. When did you drop that?
Oh, Valentine's Day this year.
Valentine's Day. For anything special for Valentine's Day? Was it a special lady?
I'm telling you, that's how we roll, because it's like, it's not what it looks like. That's how we roll. Like everything. So the song, I told you about, that I was talking about how I'm taking a girl, you know, taking a girl from this guy. Yeah. Well, so when we filmed the music video, guess who I was? I was the guy getting his girl taken. Oh. So that's how I like to switch it up. So I'm Cool sounds like, man, like, you know, my shades on, you know what I mean? Nice car or whatever. But really, I'm Cool is about, something you and I touched on is, like how artists still go through regular life stuff. So I went through a separation or a divorce and, you know, kind of disappeared from the music scene, kind of like after COVID. So it was like COVID and this, you know, gotcha. And a couple other things that hit in between there. And, so I kind of disappeared for a little bit and I tried my best to, you know, stay present like on social media and stuff like that. But really it's about the music. So I can pop up every now and again on social media, but you ain't releasing any music or anything. Yeah. You're not even talking about any of the music that you released not too long ago. So, so then I thought about coming up with I'm Cool, which really just means like, hey, I know I've been gone. I know I've been missing. Everybody's checking on me. You good? You good? You need to do this. You good? You good? And I'm just like, hey, I'm cool. I'm good. I'm cool.
All right.
Yeah, I'm cool. Like I'm
single,
cool.
Man.
Yeah, it seems like, and that's what it's supposed to look like. I'm cool. Oh, Greg coming back, and he's cool. He's got a nice car.
It's got some different meaning.
Yeah,
to
but
it.
it's not that.
Levels.
It's just like I'm cool. Don't worry about me.
Yeah,
I'm gonna come back. I'll be back because you see it. There's a song here,
right?
So I'm coming. You can see that I'm still doing music, and then I'm telling you like, hey, don't worry. I'm cool. I'm all right.
Well, let's take a listen to it.
Oh, absolutely.
The single, I'm Cool.
Yeah. You know we seen in the streets trying to creep. Yeah. But stay cool. Let her do what she do. Yeah. You know we seen her in the streets trying to creep. Let me call up all the peace, but I tell them stay cool. Let her do what she do, don't move. I know you worry about me, but I'm cool. You know we seen her in the streets trying to creep. Let me call up all the peace, but I tell them stay cool. And let her do what she do, don't move. Cause I be doing me too. Yeah, I'm feeling new to an old game. Writing letters, sending a message to this old thing. Heart in pieces, I can't get a girl the whole thing. It didn't work and I gave a girl my whole name. Dang. Pain. I knew that it was coming, did the same dang thing. You know that they be saying that it's lame. So I had to make the call and take the ring. Yeah, I had to kill that. They said I'm weak, I ain't never had to feel that. They hide your feelings, you ain't never had to spill that. But respectfully, I told them that it's still that. Yeah, look, can't go back to where I nailed that. Real talk, you know you feel that. This love ain't been no game, and I put that on my gang. Yeah, cool. You know we seen her in the streets trying to creep. Let me call up all the peace, but I tell them stay cool. Let her do what she do, don't move. I know you worry about me, but I'm cool. You know we seen her in the streets trying to creep. Let me call up all the peace, but I tell them stay cool.
Another awesome track, Greg.
Thank you.
But I'm guessing I probably am right. Recorded at Asylum with the guys?
Yes, absolutely. That's a good guess. Yeah, and he, he told me after he recorded, he's like, man, I like how you matured over the years. So I was like, I guess it's maturity or just life, you mature. You're gonna get older and experience different things. So I guess, getting older and experiencing this is, created this beautiful song.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. Mentioning this song and have been around for a while, how do you think you've changed since you started recording music from the beginning to now? What has changed? Have you lyrically matured? Are you more confident in your ability? How does that come out for you?
The lyrics have definitely changed, just because I'm talking more about things I've been through, which I couldn't have gone through in college.
Okay.
I know how I let's see, not perform, but how I record the songs, or whatever rhythm I choose to make. Like I've changed it over the years because I know that if I keep the same, if I rap the same way, it's not gonna stick. Like the newer school people, the newer ear is gonna think I'm old, Right. So I try to. I don't steal anything from new artists, but I see like what they're doing, how they're rapping a little bit differently than what I do. So I try to include a little bit of that in how I rap. Like I just try to evolve more. Right. So I try to evolve with the times. I try to make sure that I'm not that old school person that looks at the new musician or the new artist and is like, that's not how we do it. That sounds terrible. You're trash. You're using too much auto-tune. Like I'm like, do what you want to do. And, I support it. Right. I'm not going to get swept away. And now if something crazy comes out and then I can tell like, okay, maybe it's time for me to give it up, cause I really can't vibe to this at all. But I can find a little vibe in all this new music, even if it's mumbling or whatever. I still can find a song that I can save to my favorites on my, iPod.
Yeah, but that's a lot of artists though. There's like all artists have to develop. If you think that artist you liked when they were 19 or 20, had their big single or whatever it was, is going to be the same artist they are, at 40.
Right.
Like,
Delusion.
you got to be crazy.
Yeah.
Like, they're not going to be the same person.
Right.
Like, they're going to have matured. They're going to have gone through different things, and those different things is what comes out in the music.
Yeah.
Just like, off the top of my head, people see like Metallica came to town, That's not the same band of kids
really
who started out to the guys who were playing and selling out Bank of America Stadium. It's just not, and any artist I think worth their salt changes over time.
Good.
Their sound might change. They might develop, or the latest trends might come in. Let's say mumble and rap, You might say, hey, I kind of like this. Let me throw in a little bit here. It's not my thing, but I might do a little bit of it.
Right. Yeah,
and somebody like, ooh, he's with the new style.
I thought I was alone with that, so it's good to hear you. Yeah, I think I thought I was just doing something that was smart, like common sense almost. Like, you don't want to. I keep bringing up Drake, but Drake, he kind of like embraces the newer artist, and then that kind of keeps him relevant because he'll sprinkle them or the stuff that they do in his music, and it keeps him just relevant because the new artist is on his album. So now the new ears are listening to his album along with us, the old school, so I thought I was kind of, alone in that world, but I do try to switch it up a little bit to I don't want to copy. I just want to, evolve, I guess, properly.
And your taste change too. There might be new stuff that you like, and so like, why can't I do that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I remember liking Bow Wow back in the day, and like now you're scared to say that now. They're like, hey,
does anybody know who that is?
True story. That is crazy.
I mean, not to knock Bow Wow, but
that is crazy. Yeah, true story.
I mean, we're all just used to the huge names, and it doesn't matter what style of music is. There's the giants of that field or that style, and then there's people who are right below them.
Preach. Who deserve respect. Absolutely.
Yeah, but they're not going to go down in the halls of history
absolutely
the way
not.
The other people did.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
It's just the way it is with music. So how long did it take you to start to develop your stage presence and your stage persona? That's something that, like, I don't think a lot of people really understand. I mean, most performers, I myself included, when you first step out, it's a little intimidating. And I can imagine doing rap when you are the solo guy on stage,
right?
And you've got to it's up to you to work a crowd. How intimidating was that when you first started? And then how has that changed for you over time as you got older?
It was tough. It's like being afraid of heights. You get up there, you're determined to climb that ladder, but then you get up there and you start shaking. Like you can't, your body is doing that. You can't, tell it to do anything else. Yeah. But, I remember performing with my cousin that I mentioned earlier. His name was, his rap name was Bones. He's from Raleigh. And, he brought me out when I first started, recording. I was just really recording. I wasn't performing yet. And he took me to some club, man. It could have been a strip club. I don't know what it was, but I was so nervous.
It wasn't a gospel club.
It wasn't nothing my mom would approve of. No. But, but I was so nervous. I don't even remember where I was. I just went there. I got up there, started performing, forgot all my words. I was dumb. I recorded a song like the day before, and I was like, let me record that one. That was my favorite song at the time. That was dumb. And I forgot all the words, and it was embarrassing. But it definitely took me a while to evolve into the performer I am now. I actually learned how to interact with the crowd, and then it goes as deeper in that because now I can make a song like, oh, I know this song. I could work the crowd with a song like this. Yeah. And so I create, I'm starting that performance, at the creation level, like I'm creating the song for the performance later on, which I've never really been able to do that until really learning how to perform, this music out here. So it took me a while to learn how to perform the way, and I can sit back now and watch people and kind of tell where they are in their journey.
Isn't it funny?
It's like they're, it's the difference between, what do you call it? When you perform at high school, your, talent show, doing a talent show. Yeah. I could tell if somebody's like, performing like they're trying to show their abilities or their gift rather than performing
Yeah.
interacting with the crowd, the song could be trash, but you could leave,
Energized?
Yeah, you can leave the crowd, let them remember who you are, based on your performance.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you're just standing up there singing your song and just, and then that's it. That's just a talent show. I can tell who and where, where they are in their performance. I've definitely left that talent show mindset behind, and I'm out in the crowd or trying to get them involved, and
It takes a while. You can imagine people are get intimidated when they have to do public speaking.
Yeah.
Right?
Picture
but imagine
naked.
going out in front of a whole crowd that's there for you. Like, oh man, what am I supposed to do? And people, it takes a while.
Yeah, it does.
To build it up. Was there any particular artist that you watched to see how they worked a crowd and kind of like stole little things from?
Well, I watched, the first concert I went to was a Lil Wayne concert. So I watched a lot of that, and then I think I went to a Jeezy concert and watched him, and I realized, how good they were at performing. So I started watching them on YouTube and stuff like that. And I learned a little bit from them. And there was some guy, which you might know him, I don't know, but his name is Coffee Anderson. He's a country artist, black guy.
Okay.
And he just made this song not too long ago called Red, White, and Blue.
Okay.
And he's just like, he was performing around like me.
Okay.
Like we would go, I went to LA to perform one time. I think I went like 5 times, but one time he was there performing. We performed at the same show, and I watched him perform, and the lady introduced him. She introduced me too, and it was nothing. When she introduced him, I was like, oh, might be something about this guy. Like, she knew him personally. Like, she flew him in to perform.
Oh, okay.
And it was, I was like, okay, let me see. And I just loved the way he performed and interacted with the crowd and made it personal. And, I don't know, it was almost like it was, just me, my people were the only ones in there kind of deal. Like,
yeah.
He did really well. So I kind of stole something from that, from the big people and just, this guy who was little at the time. But eventually his family life got picked up by Netflix, and they have a Netflix. So that's where he blew up really big. Coffee, I think it's how you say it, then Coffee Anderson.
I'm sorry. I'm not much into country.
Yeah,
so
me either. But
he's
good. He was good. So, and he's really good at the business side of it. But yeah, I stole some of his, the way he interacts with his crowd.
Yeah.
And that's not with every crowd, because I can't do what he does. I can't take that to the club.
Yeah.
That's from when I have a performance at a bar or, at a little stage or auditorium or something like that. So you figure that stuff out, and I can tell the way you speak about it that you're familiar with the different ways or the different way or the evolution of performing.
Sure.
Yeah, becoming a performer.
Absolutely.
But I definitely stole some stuff from big artists and little artists or smaller artists that I've seen perform with me or around the town, Charlotte or whatnot, and then put that in my performance.
I think we're all just a bunch of thieves sometimes.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to learn from some. We all, what's the saying is, we all stand on the shoulder of giants,
Yeah, there you go.
And you just, what did that guy do? What did this person do? I like this. I like that. And then we just kind of take it all in and then kind of make it our own.
And it works. I like it.
And that's the way it should be.
I like it.
So, Greg, I'm just going to completely change gears on you. And I know you said you dropped out for a couple of years, but you kept a social media presence for yourself. How are you navigating social media? What are the kind of things that you put up on social media? Because, a lot of artists today have trouble following along with social media. They don't know what to post. So you got people putting what they ate for breakfast up. Here's what I'm eating. Just follow me.
Yeah, the phone's got to eat first is what they say. Everybody's like, food gets out and they try to dig in like, whoa, the phone got to eat first. Yeah, I've seen that before. I just see what works.
Yeah.
So you post something and you get a lot more views than something else. So then I'm like, okay, I'll post more of this. One thing that worked for me, which was hard for me as well, was, my family, posting my family. So my manager, I started off with my regular Instagram page, and we tried to turn that into my artist page.
Yeah.
But I was like, man, I don't want everybody in my business, like my family, personal stuff. And so we created just a Big Greg, Instagram page. So, and I can post all my music and stuff on there. But then my manager was like, hey man, they kind of want to see that you're a human being, like a person,
Yeah.
you know, and it's like, you got a family, you know, take good care of them and all that. So, you know, you should post more of it. So I was like, okay. And I kind of just like start getting paid by social media to post, stuff. So then I post like my son on there, and it's like, whoa, straight up, you know, I'm like, whoa, a lot of views, and everybody likes to see a lot of engagements.
Yeah.
And more money whenever you post that stuff. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll post a little bit more family stuff. So whatever works. Some of those, songs I told you about that I record at home based on, you know, something that happens in my life. I record those, and if you just post it, like I'm sure you've seen some artists post a song, something that they like, and they just post it with the screen of like the player, you know, like, and this is like a squiggly line, like a sound bar or whatever.
Yeah.
And they, you know, cause they just want people to hear that music, and I can relate to that.
Sure.
But I got tired of like, man, I put a lot of time in that, and then nobody really.
Yeah.
So then I'll start putting a little video, you know, with it, you know, with the song, instead of just posting it with the player on there, and it goes up. So I'll put a little bit more time into that stuff like that.
It seems you get more engagement these days. I think I heard something with Instagram, at least, that you get more engagement towards reels than just actual photographs anymore. So the video goes up, that will get more hits.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
and that's been for a while now. And now it's like you gotta post, stuff in your story now. I don't know if you up there yet.
What do you mean posting?
There you go.
Tell me, man. Tell me. I gotta up my game.
Yeah, whenever you post anything on your Instagram, you should post it to your story, and then they can click on it from your story and go to the.
Oh, you don't post it separately in your reels or something like that?
Yeah, you post it in your reels first, and you go to that little thing to share in the reel and share it to your story. Because people are going through people's stories like all the time. It's easier than scrolling. It's just
interesting.
And so then they'll see it in your story, and they'll be like, oh, what is this? And they'll click on it and then watch the rest of the video or whatever.
I did not know that. So I can save from my story to my reel?
From your reel to your story. Yeah. You're a little bit behind because now people have taken it to the next level. And I don't know if you've seen like Close Friends. Have you ever seen that? Or you can do it? No, man. Yeah. You can so people, whenever you click on people's stories, they're at the top of your Instagram.
Yes.
And I think they're on TikTok too. I don't use a lot of TikTok, but I need to get on there because that's what the young people are doing. but you can see everybody's story at the top. But if you have a Close Friends, theirs is green. And it makes you just want to click on it because usually it's like something edgy.
Yeah.
But now people picked up on that people are just clicking on the green ones, and they just put all their posts in the little green, and then they get people to click on it. That's kind of what I've seen new happen, because I'll click on the green and it's nothing. It's like a regular. I'm like, no, you just tricked me pretty much. It's nothing fancy. You know, usually if you click on the green one, it's fancy. But yeah, I've also tried to keep up with the little trends on what they do.
See, it's the thing I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to up my Instagram game a little bit more these days, you know, post more video but you just don't know. You don't know what to post. I mean, I try to keep, and I'm still a little behind you. On my personal Facebook page, I post personal things. On my Instagram music page, it's primarily music related. It might even be some of my kids at school, you know, because I'm a music teacher.
There you go.
Post some stuff, you know, that I do. I never post anything with my kids.
Right.
Like at school, because that's not, not my stuff.
I get it.
But I try to keep it music related.
I understand.
You know, I'm not like, oh, here comes dinner. Look what I'm eating. You know, I don't do that. So, but, you know, I feel like that's got to be tough for you. Like, I could tell you, people can't see, it's not on video, but I could see when you were talking about, you know, posting stuff about your own kids, and somebody's telling you to do it. At first, you're like, you know, you felt a certain way about it.
Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah.
You know, these are my kids. You know, they don't need to be on my Instagram page.
Right. Yeah. I don't want people cutting their face out, putting it on whatever and stuff. I mean, I've heard of crazy stuff like that. That's what I worry about. But at the same time, your fans, like, I don't know, they kind of want to
know that you're
humanize
real.
you. Yeah. So, and they love it. They love it. They love it for the most part. I haven't had any bad things happen yet, but
that's a good thing.
Knock on wood.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not like that's the only thing you post in, right?
Right. Yeah. So that's every now and then. Yeah. Every now and then.
All right, Greg. So as we start closing things out, there's a question I've been asking everybody. if you look back at younger Greg when you're starting in college and you started getting into music and rap, would younger Greg look at older Greg's career and where he's at this point? Would he be amazed at what you were doing? Would he be thinking you were further along? How do you think he would look back at what you've doing?
Very good question. Younger Greg would definitely look at me now and be like, "Hey, I thought we'd be a lot further." And it's like fans running and all over the place. But older Greg would quickly fill him in on what that really means, and like the business side of it, and how like the music videos and all that stuff. That's like cars rented. You know, everything's paid for. It's not what you think it is. So after older Greg is explaining that to younger Greg, then I think younger Greg would realize that older Greg has made it pretty far.
Yeah.
Made money in the business, have fans, have had like big performances with a bunch of people, a bunch of fans out. That's something that I never thought I would be able to get to. Met a lot of big artists. I met Earth, Wind, and Fire one time.
Wow.
It's pretty good. We were at that award show that I told you we went to every year. Met and rub elbows with a lot of big artists. My label mate, his name is LaTruth. He's Instagram famous. So that's how I can keep up because he's like famous on there. Yeah, he's on there. So, so little Greg would have never thought I would make it this far. I had dreams of making it this far. But probably just based on ignorance and just not being familiar with the game and how it works, little Greg would have thought, that I would have been further by now with record deal and all the millions.
I think we all, when we're younger, we have these dreams and we map out the path that it's just music and all I've got to do is do this. And we don't know what we don't know.
Right.
There's just so much in it, and I think if you're still in it at this point,
there you go.
You're doing pretty damn good.
There you go. That is it right there.
Because there's a lot of people who have dropped off.
Absolutely.
Who probably got into it for the wrong reasons.
Preach. Yeah.
And they didn't last or they didn't, like I always say, it's not just talent. There's a lot of other stuff that goes into it. It's the music. You got to have the personality.
Ooh.
You got to have the push, the drive to want to do it.
Amen.
And the interpersonal skills to work with other people. Like a lot of people, they might not be able to work with other people. They can't show up to a gig.
I agree.
Can't show up on time. Well, you don't show up enough on time, nobody's going to hire you.
There you go. Yeah.
That's kind of it. I
like it. No, that's good, man. I'm glad to hear that, and I can share that with other people because I know that. I just never verbalized it.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's just if you're still here, you're doing something. Yeah,
amen.
And I always think, as I said before, if you're doing well locally, that's really pretty good.
Absolutely.
Not everybody has to be this international, massive selling artist because not everybody can do that.
I agree.
It doesn't matter if you're a musician or if you're an actor, right?
Same,
Look at all the actors. How many actors are there that are world famous? Well, compared to all the people who are on commercials, doing theater, and all the other stuff that we don't know.
Yeah, some of them backup people want to be the star too. Like the people just sitting extras. Some of them are on the path to trying to be. But that project wouldn't work without them still, without them in the background. And that's a good starting place for them. Yeah. All that is very true. Absolutely.
And you think of how many musicians it takes to get, to somebody who's world famous.
Absolutely.
I mean, and all the other things in between. You might not just be, a performer. You might also be a mix engineer or a producer, all these other things that are behind the scenes, so there's a lot that goes into it.
Absolutely. But I still don't want to discourage, anybody's dream. Yeah, absolutely. Because it could happen.
Yeah.
It could absolutely happen.
Yeah.
But I just want to say, don't think it's failure if it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
If something huge doesn't happen, if you're still here, like you said, you're doing okay.
Yeah. And I think you got to get into music for the right reasons. You got to get into it because you love it. And that's kind of really what you want to do. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't have to be, at least for me anyway, it doesn't have to be all consuming.
Preach.
Like, it's the only thing I do, but I'm not world famous.
Right.
And I'm really happy.
That's good.
You know?
You got a good setup in here, man.
And I get to do music, and I get to talk to other musicians, and I get to perform, and, I get to do what I love.
I love it.
So I think a lot of people, if they take a takeaway from it, just enjoy it.
Absolutely.
And don't think you got to make $1 million next year and be driving a big fancy car.
Preach.
And have a massive house,
Preach.
Do it.
When I was recording, I mentioned it earlier, and I look at the clock and it's 3 a.m., I'm like, oh God. And then I look at the clock and it's 6 a.m. I'm like, I'm still working on it. That's when I knew I was, I love music.
You're in.
Yeah, I was in there. I could literally I could do this for 24 hours.
Yeah.
And I hear other artists, some famous, some not. And they say that, I was in the studio for 12 hours. And then I can tell, that's different. Some people just go there and get out, or, they messing around or whatever.
Yeah.
But I can tell when they're like, I've been in recording, working on this all night, and I just had to go do this show. And I know they have some type of love for it.
Yeah. There, people work, and it's funny that you bring that up because people work differently. I think I saw somebody, they were talking about Eminem, and they were talking about how he works. And it was like he starts at 9 a.m. and he's done at 4 p.m.
That's crazy.
And then he'd come in and he'd do his thing, and then somebody would come in, they were supposed to be working with him, like, hey, and he's like, see you later, man. See you tomorrow. And they're like, what is he doing? This is the way he works. He's done it at a certain time, and that's it.
I've seen
puts in a hard part.
Yeah, I've seen a couple people like that, Yeah, I don't know, different places in their career, whatever it may be, but yeah, I've seen a couple people like that.
I think it's just everybody works differently.
Yes, absolutely.
I function well from this time to this time, or I know if I don't do it in this period of time, it's not going to happen. I could spend another 10 hours doing it. It's still not going to happen.
Just like working out, man. I work out in the morning. If I have to work out at night or afternoon, get out of here. I'm done. Yeah. I had the whole day. I'm tired.
Yeah.
So.
It takes a lot to pull me in the gym. If I had to go after work.
Yeah, get out of here.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
No, I'm done.
Yeah. If I can go before work, I mean, not everybody wants to be at a gym at 5:30 in the morning. But if I can get there at 5:30 in the morning, I'm a happy person for the rest of the day, man.
That's hilarious.
Get my workout in. So, Big Greg, as we start wrapping things up, do you have anything coming up for yourself? You got any performances we can come see you?
No, we were working on it. And I'm just coming back, I guess, from a hiatus, but we are definitely talking about it. Definitely talking about just doing something for me, and not just a project, but performances just for me. So we got to get a venue. I think we got a venue almost locked in, and once we do that, the music is there. So the people, the desire, that's there for them to come see the show or whatever. So. Awesome. We just get that locked in, and then we'll put something out.
Okay. And if we want to get in touch with Big Greg, find out more about you, how can we get in touch with you? We got to just contact Cody over at Manifest, or can we touch base with you directly?
Yeah, Cody is definitely more reliable than I am. But that's just for professional stuff. But for social media, I try to make it easy for everybody, and all my social media is Big Greg PLK. So it's BIGGREG PLK. And that's everything so at Big Greg PLK for TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff.
Sounds perfect. Big Greg, thanks for coming in and chatting, man.
Thank you for having me, man. I had a good time.
All right, dude. Have a wonderful day.
You too, sir.
Thanks for listening to episode 88 of the Queen City Music Podcast, and I hope you go back and check out past episodes. And if you've enjoyed this podcast, please share it with your friends. As always, if you have an idea for an episode or would like to be a guest on the QCMP, reach out to me at qcmusicpodcast@gmail.com. Also, check out our local partners, Records on the Wall at rexonthewall.com, Charlotte New Music at charlottenewmusic.org, and Blacker the Berry Lemonade at btblemonade.com. And if you would like to become a local partner like my friends, touch base with me at qcmusicpodcast@gmail.com. Until next month, get out there and support the local Charlotte music scene by hearing some of the talented artists who call our city home.